Alrighty, I think I got the recording going, so we're good there because I always forget that stuff. And then we'll jump right into it. Sweet. So welcome. It's the Q&A. We do have a couple of questions out there. I might grab some randomly from the community and see what we can add onto there. But let's get started with what's new, right? Because we always start out with what's the new stuff. So I know you guys saw me post yesterday, day before yesterday, and I was like, hey, sorry for all the posts that are going to happen, right? So all those posts happen because I was rearranging things in the classroom. So again, trying to connect the dots to make it easier for everybody, especially the new people in the community, to kind of be like, okay, I go from here to here to here to here, right? So that you have an easy map, a roadmap that you can follow, so you know what's next. What do you have to do, right? It's not really been that clear, so hopefully that gets a little clearer with the changes that I just made. In addition to that, one of the reasons, or another reason that all those posts got posted, where it was like a poll and questions and this, that, and the other, is just started a Living Soul Kickstarter. This is for those guys who are just coming in, right? Just getting started. Usually we're learning while we're leveling up through those stages. But what I did is I took some of that learning and I put it at the very beginning, so people can kind of get a taste of what we do here in the community, right? Just doing fun stuff, right? So I put that stuff at the beginning. It's kind of a 7-day mini challenge, I guess you can say, kind of, sort of, that people can go through to kind of see, okay, I do this, I do that. And it gives them a little taste of, like what I said, like what we're doing in the community. And then they can move along from there. So it's open to everybody. So if that's something that you want to go look at, or if that's something that interests you and you want to be like, I just want to go see what he has. If you go to the classroom and you go to the roadmap, it'll be there. I think it's the second thing or something on the left, on the tabs. So you can go check those out. I think the majority of you guys already have answered some of those questions and done that little portion of it. So it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to last 7 days. It's not anything crazy, you know. It's just a couple of tasks. It's not even a couple. It's a single task that you do each one of those days, and it's really simple. I think the hardest one is probably going to take you maybe 5 minutes or so. So nothing crazy,
yeah,
right?
That's until you got to start running around trying to find blue flowers all over town.
that's Soul Wars. Yeah. Once you get up to level, what is it, 4, and you get into Soul Wars, if you want to participate in that, then yes, you might have to go run around looking for blue flowers. That was pretty good. That was a good one. There was a lot of competition. I don't know if I said it on this call or the other call, but Julie went crazy. I mean, she went to a nursery and started taking pictures of plants. And then Mary Heather was running around all over the place, all over her neighborhood, just taking random pictures of people's yards and people's plants. But you know, she's good at that, identifying the plants, because you know that's her herbal thing. So, but yeah, Jim, you're right. Like, it went crazy for sure. I think it was like the last 5 hours. It was constant. Good time though. Good competition. So if that's something that sounds fun to you guys, Soul Wars will be coming back up in first week of October, I believe. So they're kind of spread apart. We usually do about 4 a year or something like that. It is a team challenge. That's 14 days. So when you get up to level, I think it's 4, that'll be available to you. So you can check that out. Maybe it's level 3. Might be level 4. All right, what else is new? The Kickstarter, classroom rearrange, and then the roadmap. So I can show this to you. Maybe. Do our best to kind of share. So I think you guys have seen the roadmap. That's it. So I kind of changed this as well, right? I think the roadmap was farther down, which was probably not a good thing. So I moved it up. I changed it a little bit. So we kind of put the roadmap on here of like, hey, what am I doing? What am I supposed to do, right? So you got the Kickstarter at the very beginning. Then you'll go through life. You'll probably hit some, that's not supposed to be workshops. Actually, those are. So you'll go through life doing the whole module thing, right? The kiwi, the peach, the lemon, the orange, the coconut. And as you're going through that, there'll be workshop sprinkles in between. And what I mean by that is it kind of looks like this. So your outline is everybody starts at the top, right? Everybody starts here. And then once you finish with the Kickstarter, you kind of join the community, and then you kind of go your own way. You kind of decide what you want to. At that point, Soul Games and Soul Wars will open up for you guys, right? And then you can decide whether you want to play those or not. Playing those will help you level up so you can unlock some of these other things here and here, right? So playing those will help you level up and unlock. And then when you get to those levels, you'll have the living soil. All of this is under creating a living soil. So you have the living soil, you have the compost, you have the vermicompost, and we'll talk about pests. And each one of these has different modules in them, right? So the living soil has 5, compost has 2, vermicomposting has 2, and then your pests have 1. Once you finish each one of those sections, you can join the workshops that we have. If we have enough people to participate. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, and then we'll push those off. But then we'll have the workshops where it's actually hands-on, where we'll do it virtually, and everybody we talk about a little bit about what went on, and then we jump into activities to kind of give you guys problems, and then you guys have to solve them. And then afterwards, we kind of talk about that, and then we're like, all right, how do we make this better? Or is it good enough? So that's what the roadmap kind of looks like. That's at the very beginning. Again, it probably should have been under the roadmap the whole time, and I apologize, but it's there now. So, and then the Kickstarter, the Soul Kickstarter is going to be right underneath that. And then you got your 7 days right there. All right. Going back to the things that I'm supposed to talk about. All right, what's up and coming? All right, so everybody wants to know that. Soul Feud, I've been talking about it for a long time. A little busy right now, but we will get to it. I promise you, it's still coming. We're still going to play that. So that'll be in the community. Get ready for it. I think there's a post in there. If you type in Soul Feud, you search it right in the search bar, you'll find where the document's at, where you can actually see kind of what the gameplay is going to look like. I'll probably post that in this video again, so you guys can take a look at it if that's something that interests you guys. Remember, this community is full of games that we play to make things fun. It's not just, talking about sciencey stuff and reading boring things. Although if that's what you like, because that's what I like, then you can do that too. But I like playing games and make it more fun. So that's what we're going to do. The next thing is, because I created the roadmap, and I kind of moved that around. I was looking at the legends, and I think I was doing a disservice to you guys. And I think I'm going to kind of revamp that section of it. Right now, it's full of information, and it gives you guys links and information on how to do things, right, and stuff like that. But I think what I want to do is I want to create a roadmap just for you guys. So you have the roadmap to get you started, and then for you guys, it's going to be like, okay, got somebody else. And then for you guys specifically, I'm going to create a transformational roadmap, right? How do I go from what I have now to where I need to be? And we'll probably end up sprinkling in the education in there so that it's kind of where you're at. Well, let's try it this way. Where you're at, the next step, where you need to go. We'll kind of address everything in there, the how, what, when, where, and why. And then we'll move to the next step, the how, what, when, where, and why. And then instead of kind of bombarding you guys, not bombarding, but putting so much information out there, it's going to be more of a step-by-step guide while giving you information so you can go along and fix it. So right now, I think it's it's in there, right? But I think it could be better for you guys. So that's what I'm going to be working on to kind of clean that up for you guys. So it's super simple, and you can follow along. If you are a legend, I might be releasing something for you guys that's going to be pretty nifty and fun, and make it easier for you guys to find information. If I'm not available, or if you just don't want to ask me. So, but we'll talk about that in the Legends call if I can remember. All right, have to write that down. Sweet. All right, going back to my to-do list. The next thing we look at is the leaderboard. I guess Jim was saying there's something going on the leaderboard that's super exciting. So I have not looked at it. I don't always look at it, but we'll take a look now. So where are we at today? It is the 21st of August. As you guys know, we look at the leaderboard because we're playing soul games every month, all the time in the background. Soul Games is a 30-day challenge. It starts at the beginning of the month and goes to the end of the month. And that is how we get the top 3 people to play every month in Soul Games. So let's look at the leaderboard. We always start with the 7-day, right? So let's look at the 7-day. Looks like we got Julie at the top. She's killing it right now. I don't know why Julie doesn't have her flame. Maybe she's working. Oh yeah, she's working on it. Sorry to throw your business out there. Just had to look. I was curious. So she's super active. That's why I wanted to look. And if you're curious what the flame is, if you hover over anybody's flame and you click it, it's a 30-day streak of 10 activities in school, not just specifically this community, right? So it means liking, commenting on 10 people's every day, and then after 30 days, you'll get your little fire. Flame on. I think that's how he says it, right? Flame on. All right, and then we got Mary Heather in second place. That looks pretty close right there. And then Tamara. I always butcher her name. One day I'll figure it out, and I'll be able to remember it. But she's pulling up in third place. Betsy's there in fourth. Jim's following right along. He's pushed down to fifth, and Trudy's been getting pretty busy in the community, so she's pushing up. And then we've got a bunch of other people down at the bottom. But for the 30-day, we are about 9 days. Hold on, how many days are in August? We have 31 days in August. We're about 10 days out from the end of the month. So this is what it looks like. I don't think there's a chance for anybody to get into first and second. I think that's a quite a bit. As you can see, in 7 days, you usually rack up about 200 to 300 points. So we've got 10 days left, even 200 to 300 points off of Mary Heather. That's 600 points away. That's at least 2 weeks worth of work. So as you guys can see, competition is pretty fierce right now. So all of that's going on at the top. We've got Tamara, Betsy, Red, and Casey, Nia, Patrick, and David pulling in at number 10. So foreshadowing, it's probably going to be these 3 people playing Soul Games next month. But we'll see. Never know. Maybe Tamara will come and take over. Maybe. We'll see. This might be a fierce competition. Might be something to watch. Kind of like the end of Soul Wars was. But all right, enough of that. That's what the leaderboard kind of looks like there. And now we'll get to the reasons everybody shows up. And this is the Q&As, right? So we do have 2 people on the call. 3 people on the call. My apologies. Hello, Julie. Hello, KC. So I will open up the floor to you guys for Q&As first before I hop into the Q's that I found and I provide those A's. So make sure you guys know that you're muted. So if you have questions, go ahead and unmute, and then I will answer them as they come along. Sweet. I don't see anybody unmuting. While we're going along, we'll just have a chit chat. So before this call, or while we were talking, Jim and I were talking about, it's August and there's a lot of people prepping to be able to get started for fall. And prepping is an excellent time to take care of your living soil. One thing to remember is, or specifically Jim was talking about, getting rid of some of his old plants. Plants die. I've got corn that's still standing tall and brown. But in order to ensure that, we're keeping our living soil going, we don't want to disturb the soil, right? We don't, as much as possible. So we're going to minimize the disturbance. And that's just because we want to make sure that we keep everybody intact, that we worked so hard to be able to, keep there. Perfect example of this is we built a house, which is the soil. Everybody's in it, happy, having a good time. How would you feel if you were living in that house and somebody came and ripped your roof off? Or just chopped up your house? I guess you could relate this to a hurricane or a tornado coming through your house. How would y'all like that? I can tell you, I would not It's not going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of things missing, a lot of things broken. And that's what you do when you disturb the soil. You're taking a hurricane and a tornado right through your house, right? And nobody likes that. You don't like it. I don't like it. Your neighbors don't like it. Your family don't like it. And the soil doesn't like it either. So minimal disturbance. So maybe we have some, like big storms or something like that, but we don't want a hurricane coming through or a tornado coming through our soil. This breaks up fungal hyphae strands. It exposes the soil to the elements. And when, like we always talk about, microbes are sensitive to UV rays. And once they start seeing sunlight, they start dying. Excuse me. I don't know what's going on with me.
You should have seen me digging on my bed for them grubs.
Oh, yeah. Probably a lot of disturbance, right? And that disturbance also brings in pests, right? So when we're exposing all that stuff, the best thing we can do is, kind of leave it as is as best as possible. So, and that's how we preserve all of that work we did for a living soil, right? That's another reason we top dress when we don't always till into the soil, right? Because you're disturbing. Now, there's a time and place for everything. Don't get me wrong. If you've got grubs and you got to get them out, you probably have to dig, right? So that's just that. And then then what you do is you take the saucer from one of your pots and you use it as a bat and you hit those grubs over into the neighbor's yard. I believe that's what Casey was doing. I think.
Yeah, till the hornworm broke the saucer.
That's crazy. Like, how big does a hornworm have to be able to break up clay pot?
It was probably about 1.5 inches. He was a fat boy.
I think
He
we
made a
need
nice
video.
tunk. And a good old, like, maybe 4-inch diameter hole that broke off from the saucer.
Jeez. Julia, you said something? What was that?
Oh, I was just saying we should have video for that.
I know, right?
You broke your terracotta saucer lobbing a grub.
It was a cheap plastic saucer.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll give sun damage some of that.
It only took 2. The first one cracked the edge. The second one actually cracked the center and made a hole. And then he proceeded to hit my window, my bedroom window, and leave guts all over my window.
Oh, fun. That's what you get.
Yeah.
Don't mess with Mother Nature. Oh, yeah,
But
grub.
the satisfying sound of it being hit is just so nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked how you had him sizzling and popping there. That was nice.
Oh.
If I find more, I'll be doing that again. They leave too much black spots on the wall.
Oh, well, find an open area.
Too bad I don't live closer to the freeway. I could spat them into the freeway and let them hit cars.
Oh.
Yeah.
What about the railroad tracks? Put them on the railroad tracks. I used
live
to
too
work
far
at
away.
and they have railroad tracks that go right through the RJ campus.
Hmm.
And because they used to drop off. Well, I guess they still do. I don't know what the hell they do at the RJ anymore, but they used to have a train that would go through like every day and drop off ink or paper or what have you. And yeah, that'd be good. Just line those grubs up on the track. Squirt.
Yeah. Oh. Pancakes, literally. So while Casey is over here hitting home runs with his grubs, we do want to leave the soil intact as much as possible. There is a different train of thought out there with some people. Some of the older generations older gardeners, older generation of gardeners, where tilling before every season is a way to get healthy soil, right? And leaving it exposed and kind of letting it sit there. That's not what we found in soil biology and soil life. That's not the best way to ensure that your soil stays happy and healthy, right? So even though it's August and you're getting ready for fall and you're getting your beds ready for fall, do the best you can to not disturb the soil as much as possible. The next thing we'll talk about is in some areas, some people are getting a lot of rain, right? Excess rain, depending on what type of soil you have, can be bad. So if you have clay soils and it gets extremely wet, you can turn into anaerobic conditions. So who was it? Was it Tamara? I think Tamara was talking that, nope, it wasn't. It was somebody else in the community. But either way, the soil, if it starts getting waterlogged, the clay soil specifically, it'll start smelling on you. So it'll go from smelling like dirt into smelling like something you're like, this is just off just a little bit. It could be ammonia, it could be rotten eggs, it could be anything like that. If it doesn't smell nice and earthy, then that's not a good thing. So excess rain will do that, and we have to do our best to be able to kind of mitigate that, right? So making sure that we have the right living soil in place, right? The right amount of organic material and all those air, water, food, and microbes, those 4 principles, ensures that even our clay soils have the ability to be able to let water infiltrate through and not hold it and go stagnant. Yeah, not hold it in place and then make everything go kind of anaerobic. So we got to have those 4 principles, especially during excess rain. Now, I think we were talking about, I think it might have been Julie actually, how do you get rid of excess rain if you don't have a living soil established? And you can add drains, right? People add French drains and other type of drains to pull that excess moisture away from the soil. And that is a way to do it. Just know that you can fix it by using a living soil. It just takes a little bit of time to be able to get it there, right? But you can do that and save yourself the headache of digging a hole, putting in a French drain, and all of that. So next question we kind of had, or the next thing we had, or nope, sorry, that was clay soils. Sandy soils, for those of you guys, we're going to go on 2 extremes, right? We're going to go super clay soil, and then we're going to go super sandy soil. If you have super sandy soil and you're getting a lot of rain, a lot of your nutrients are going to be washed away. And that's just the nature of sand, right? That's just the nature of the composition. And that's why I think the composition test or the soil test is the first thing that we do when we're in the living soil, creating a living soil, right? It's the first activity. It's like, let's see what your soil composition is, because once we know what our soil composition is, we kind of know how the soil is reacting to what Mother Nature is throwing at it. In this case, if we're talking about rain and we're talking about sandy soil, we're talking about a lot of rain getting pushed through and nothing's getting held. So those of you with sandy soils struggle with it holding moisture because it rushes through, right? And when it rushes through, it's taking all the nutrients with it. And that means that you're left with a plant, some roots, maybe some critters, and, plant, the roots, a lot of, maybe some critters and no nutrients, right? A lot of air and no water. So this goes back to the principles of air, water, food, and microbes. If we're missing any one of those, or multiple of these, then you don't have a living soil and your plant's going to suffer. How do you adjust for that, right? We got to make sure that we have everything in a living soil that we're supposed to. We want to make sure that we have enough air, enough water, right? So in a sandy soil, you're going to definitely have enough air, right? You're not going to have enough water. So we want to make sure we have those in place. We want to make sure that we have enough food in place. And then last of all, we want to make sure that we have the right microbes in place. Having the right microbes are going to be extremely important, because if you have an imbalance in your microorganisms, right, then that could be bad. We always adjust our microorganisms for the succession of plant that we're growing, right? We want to make sure that we have all of them in there. We want to make sure that we go from bacteria to protozoas to nematodes to worms, right, to microarthropods. We want to make sure that we have all of these guys. If we're missing any one of those guys in that system, just like our living soil, right, is broken, and then we're not getting, your plant is not going to be getting the nutrients that they need to be able to grow. So microbes are important. A roof is important. All of those things make a living soil. When you're working with a sandy soil with a lot of rain, it is important to make sure you have those 4 principles in place so that things can occur. I know Jim posted in the community a while back, and one of those nuggets is that clay soil is actually better. It's better than sandy soil. Yes, I said better, believe it or not. And it comes down to the ability for it to be able to hold on to nutrients. That's really what it is. Sandy soils suck at that. So if your plant needs nutrients to grow and you have sand, you are probably going to struggle a little bit more than if you have clay. Fun fact. Even though most of the time when we hear people talk, they're like, I hate clay. Clay's terrible. It's bad. It's mucky. It sucks to dig in. But for plant health, it's better than having sandy soil. Fun fact. Sweet. All right. We had a couple of more people, or one more person join us on the call. I don't want to take up too much time, but if you guys do have any questions, that's all we really have this week. So if you have questions, go ahead and come off mute and we can dive into those and we can answer them. I look at the mute button. Sorry if you see me looking over here. I'm looking to see if nobody's reaching for the mute button. So one last thing before we call it quits is we always do a topic, right? So the topic is going to be long-term soil health and planning for next season, which is basically what we just talked about, getting ready for fall, right? If you want to have a good season, keep things in place. If you know that things weren't good last season, then adjust per the principles that we have, make those tweaks, and then do it for this season, right? If you're struggling because there's too much water, then let's find a way to make sure that we get some of that water out of there. If your plants are changing different colors, then we know probably that we're missing some microorganisms in the soil. Let's make sure we put those microbes into the soil, right? We can make adjustments now before the plants are in the ground. Well, some of us still have plants in the ground, but in our transitioning period, we can make sure that we adjust these things so that when we put our next set of plants in the ground, things will be better. Additionally, the more roots we have in the ground, the better the soil is going to be. I was talking to somebody the other day. Actually, it was yesterday, one of my customers, and they were saying, I noticed that the more I plant, the better things grow. Well, absolutely, right? Absolutely. In the desert, there's not a lot of plants and not a lot of things grow. If you go to a jungle, there's a lot of plants, there's a lot of things growing, and it just works like that. So keep that in mind if you're looking for long-term soil health and planning for next season. Other than that, I don't have anything for you guys. If you guys missed the first half, remember there's always a recording. You can go back and watch it. So I'll get this posted for you guys. It is Thursday, so hopefully you guys have a happy Thursday. And like always, thanks for being part of the community. If you have any questions, drop them, shoot me a DM in, put them in the community. I'm happy to help and happy to answer those. Otherwise, we'll call it a day and we'll wrap this one up. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good one.
You too.
Lots of roots are good if the grubs don't eat them all.